I think being a leader in this country, there's some kind of software degradation. I'm not going to use upgradation that we normally put it into ourselves. There are one or two exceptions. In that, when we even pluck some people from the private sector and plant them into the country, they still get immersed in our way of doing things, and we rarely see people trying to do things differently. I say this with a lot of respect to a number of leaders who have come in from the private sector and done marvelous when it comes to the government sector, in the public sector. I have a lot of respect for Kivuza Kibwana and one or two other people. With regards to this housing issue, I've had the pleasure of going around other countries, and what you see that has been developed is so decent until in one of the universities I was visiting in South Africa, even the dean himself, who's from Netherlands, lives in the same place where students live. Because the development is so decent, it might not be very big space, but the distance is there. Would you compare that to even where I live? I don't think such person will come to live, which we consider slightly improved than where other people live. The issue of affordable is very key when it comes to the provision of housing. The issue of safe, is it safe? We have been having a conversation all over in terms of buildings collapsing. All the Kisii, we had a number of people, I think, losing their lives. In Nairobi, I mean, it's a number of them.
So that our buildings are not safe.
Our structures safe. And that is why my good friend here brought in the issue of the multi-agency approach that we have. We have the National Construction Authority, which looks at the contractor's aspect and says, hey, this person has the credentials, this company has the capability of putting up a safe house. Number two, we have the county government, which then at the end of the day needs to inspect that building and say, hey, this building is safe for living, for keeping cattle, for keeping cows, for keeping chicken, but do they do that inspection? You find that a house is falling, yet it was given a completion certificate. It was given an occupation, go ahead. I mean, this government, and we know in most instances the government projects are worse. Unfortunately, when it comes to compliance, we see worse when it comes to government projects. In the private sector, we are seeing this. Then is this ambitious project going to be stable? Is it going to be safe?
Simple thing. Kenyans, we are not stubborn. Kenyans, we are not stubborn.
What are we?
We need to be more than stubborn. Immediately you become stubborn, you will win that game.
So we need to be stubborn.
We need to be very stubborn. There is no way you can have a PS staying somewhere else, and the houses they are purporting to build for us, they believe they are not accessible. Two, they are not affordable. They believe they are not safe. And at the same time, they also believe these are not part of what I'm supposed to be.
22162 is our number. 22162 is the SMS line, starting with the word YM254. You can use the hashtag Y254 updates on Twitter. We are at Y254 channel at ROM Aguko. What do you think? Is Kenya on the right track in ensuring housing development? Give us your feedback. Starting with the word Y, starting with the word Y News. Starting with the word Y News. Send your comment to 22162. Now, back to you. You are talking about the country ensuring that the Kenyans ensure that they do stuff.
Yes.
Would you advocate for something to do with demonstrations? Would you advocate for things to do with strikes? What did you say? What kind of stuff
before he comes in, when he said that somebody lives in one end and tries to develop another end, it reminded me of some counties in Nyanza. And my county, unfortunately, is one of them, which is Nyamira County. Our governor is rumored not to be staying in that county. We have also a number of counties in Rift Valley where all the governors are staying in Nuas and Gishu, and then in the morning you see the convoys going back to their respective counties. You cannot run another project while you don't understand it. That is the point he was bringing out.
Simple thing. Being stubborn, you cannot feed me with what you don't actually eat.
Now, would we say that now our leaders do not have the qualifications to take Kenya to the next level, even when it comes to achieving the Big Four agenda?
They don't understand our problems, basically. Because a story is told of one Kenyan leader who the people went and told him, hey, master, people don't have bread to eat. Then he was like, why can't they eat cakes? He doesn't understand that they don't have money to buy that bread and to buy those cakes. I mean, we have been making noise that can we even have these leaders, even in the health sector, can they go even to the hospitals that we go to? Can they go to Kenyatta? For them to basically understand that this is what happens and this is where we need to improve from. Rather than just sitting in a boardroom somewhere and you're being given a plan of a house in Kibera and thinking that, hey, then I need to improve it. You don't actually know how that house looks like. Can you take a tour and look at how people live in those places before you come up with such an ambitious plan on paper?
So, I tend to differ. Would you say that now all leaders, no one can relate with the common mwananchi?
Very few, very few.
You know, if we say,
Not even one.
in mathematics we say this, there is no single day you will say 1 is greater than 9. But if you add 1 plus 9, you will get 10. And the reverse is the same. If one person might be the one related or maybe coming to be, just purported to be, that does not make the other 9 to be the same. So if we are talking of a country that the leaders does not understand why they need to put those houses and why those houses are supposed to be accessible and also affordable for their residents, then that means there is no need for us to talk of these leaders. A leader who is, when a leader is sick, instead of seeking, attention within your country, you run away to South Africa.
To get a plaster on the
When
nose.
you want to die, you got to die in London.
That is not a
So,
very good example.
no, let me tell you.
You cannot-
You know,
you cannot
as much
just
as you
plan
know,
to
let
go
me
and
tell
die
you
in another
this.
country.
How many times have we been actually transporting bodies from outside the country, back in this country? So that is what you're fearing to say?
No,
So we
I'm
don't
not-
need, let me tell you, could we be that we are we trust the healthcare system that we have? We cannot have our people to pay taxes, that those those hospitals are good. 54 years down the line, Ram, do you want to convince me that we cannot improve our health sector to an extent that if we have one of the leaders sick, he cannot go to those hospitals? Then who are these who are now meant for these given hospitals that we set money for, but we cannot go for? Who are these people meant for? These houses that
we're
are actually
building.
built that are not to the standards, so that we are making innocent Kenyans to go and live. Let me tell you, it's just a time bomb. It's just a typical time bomb.
Exactly.
That we are losing lives when we know very well that we are going to lose lives.
Exactly.
And then nobody takes responsibility.
I think it will be speaking a word of doom to ourselves when we say that all is gone.
All is not. All is not gone. All is not gone. Huh? My thinking is that we have a country of people who are very content with the worst that we have.
Let us consider the kind of buildings that have been collapsing of late.
Yes.
Roma, would you say? I don't think if Kenyans love them.
I mean, I think what I'm saying is that we have a citizenry who are very, me included, we are very content with the kind of mediocrity that we see. I mean, we clearly see that a building has been condemned.
And as you are seeing on the screens, there are buildings that collapsed in the past.
I mean, we have been losing, and we all know that when it comes to the rainy season,
Right.
buildings are going to go down. All in advance, we have buildings being marked. As much as we say that these law agencies are not going to come and build because of one or two technicalities, we as the citizens ourselves, can you just look? I mean, I cannot live in a building that has been condemned, a building that has been marked X, but that is where you walk every day majestically in the end of the day and pray and say, God, this night be with me. And yet at the gate you're seeing your building has been marked an X. So what I'm trying to say is that we as a country, we are also a country that is very satisfied with mediocrity.
You know, me as a person, I don't think I'll blame the citizens at one point, and I'll also blame the agencies, because
The private sectors.
Start with those who are doing agencies that we have. Let me say the NCA, the county government. We have the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development. Where are they when the construction is being started?
Now, can the government
Because
work
you
on
cannot
its own?
occupy, let me
The
tell you,
government
you
can
cannot
work.
occupy what has not been constructed.
But can the government work on its own?
They cannot work alone. That is why we are saying the agencies that are related to the construction in this country must work in coordination. So that when we are starting a construction in a given site, it must be worth that given building.
Right now, the government is set to partner with 35 private firms to construct 1 million housing units by the year 2020.
I think that is another cash cow which our children will be reading in the next 5 years, because we know the way this country, so many things are done. We get to see its pitfalls. these 35 funds, number one, which criteria was used to select them? That is the first question. The second question is that this land that they intend to put up these housing units, who owns this land? Is it owned by private individuals? Is it government land? If it's by private individuals, which is the process of acquiring it from them? Are we going to inflate prices? Number three, in the construction, is it going to be standard? Unfortunately, in this country, some of the most misused projects, some of the most substandard projects are government projects.
Wow. Would you agree, wherever you are tuning from? 22162 is the number. 22162 is the number that you start with, starting the word Y News. Tell us your thoughts concerning the matter. Is Kenya on the right track when it comes to housing development? Our time is almost up, but we would like to get feedback from you. If I'll just read but a few. Someone here is saying that yes, Kenya is on the right track, but the track is okay. Okay.
You couldn't read that on air?
I cannot say that on air. I don't know, but let me paraphrase. You see, whereby when the railway station cannot continue, the railway line ends because the track has a pothole somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are on the right track, but there's a problem because the track has a pothole. But giving me your final words, if I will start with you, Areba, then back to you, Karlmax. What is the way forward? What is the solution? The government has set plans. Should citizens trust in the government until we see it delivering? Because just as some people would say that Mike Sonko should have been given more time for Kenyans to see that he will deliver. Now, are we in a hurry to judge the government, and you have not yet given the government more time when it comes to housing development? Final words.
Which animal is this that we say the government? I mean, this is not an animal that came 3 years ago. This is an animal that has been there for 50 plus years. So when we say that we are too quickly to judge the government, every day we have been having the government of the day. There is no single time in this country we have ever had a lacuna in terms of leadership. And then one thing that we need to note is that as much as whenever a new crop of leaders come into position, they all come with their own manifesto. But then you cannot just come in and say, hey, as the father of this home, initially the mother was cooking ugali. Now I need to stop this cooking of ugali and start cooking nyama. I don't think that is the way the government works. In terms of those projects that the master plans that exist, there's a reason why we have principal secretaries, so that then we can have perpetual continuity and that institutional memory when it comes to carrying out our activities. So we cannot say that, oh, this government has been in for a few years, so let's not judge them. We are going to judge all this crop of leaders as one. That is my first point. The second point is that I know that the NCA is really working to see a review of its act, so that it can one of its thinking is that they can have prosecutorial powers, so that whenever they see that this person who is building here is not licensed, then they can proceed to prosecute him and arraign him in court. My final word.
Hey, Areba.
I will love to skip you now. My final word. We have seen a very ambitious plan.
Right.
Did we have public participation?
Right.
Are we seeing a clear, feasible plan, or are we just having a plan for the sake of having a plan?
Very swift. First solution to the problem: construct affordable rate houses.
Where?
2, let us have a parliament to get back and revise the NCA Act, so that 1, they can have the powers to prosecute. 2, they can have the powers to demolish. 3, they can have the powers to arrest. We must also get to understand that we have a problem when it comes to now making our houses to be accessible. Don't go construct houses in areas that are not accessible. Let them be reasonably to the standards of sanitation. Then finally, we need now to understand that all the contractors don't work in the name of profits. But can you please understand that other stakeholders that are involved through your process? Finally, corruption is swank and risky, but it's very sad that it kills.
What did he just say?
We will come back to that on another day. Corruption is what?
is swank and risi.
Thank
It's
you.
sad it kills.
That is Karlmax, a very interesting guy there, government expert, and Areba Omwoyo, who is.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
We have not yet talked about many things. We have not talked about whether infrastructural development, whether roads and housing, whether they correlate, whether if we construct a house, does it affect the road? If the roads are there, will we need to expand or reduce? We've a lot to discuss, comparing the slums development and also the urban development. Tell us your thoughts concerning this. 22162 is the number. Stand with the word Y News. A lot is to be talked about, but time is not on my side. I'd like to wind up and leave over the show to Y Mashariki with the one and the only presenter Ali and the DJ on the deck, DJ Tieska. Keep it locked right here on Y254. They shall entertain you with the best of East African music right here on Y254. Handing over to you. Have a good night and may God bless you. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter at Y254 and at Ram Aguko. God bless you. Have a good night.